Hey guys, welcome to Cars and Cash. We're back at Carlock Motors, Aston Martin here in Nashville. I'm Garrett Williamson, financial advisor and car lover, here to spec out DBX. And this is one of the options they have is a blue one. We also have a black one inside. We're gonna talk about the different specs today. If you've thought about what it's like trying to get one of these cars or affording that car, what are the things you need to think about with your finances, things like that. We're here to talk about all of that stuff and how you can create a great spec of your car while shopping for your DBX. So come on inside and we'll run through the specs first. We'll run through different options and customization that you can do, and then we'll check out in detail the car. All right, so now we're at the customization wall. So here we can pick any colors that we want, but not all colors are the base colors. So you have to look and see which ones are the extra color, and your person at Aston Martin will help you do that. But if you look and you see like a Q or a special here, you just know that those are going to extra. For our DBX today, we have a white, Zenith white, and it's a very, very nice color. Looks really good on the car, and we'll look at that in just a moment. But you know, for a DBX, having very nice kind of classic colors is a good idea. You know, if you're getting a yellow DBX, just think of, you know, obviously it might be a great color for you, but that resaleability, that depreciation may happen a little bit faster when you try and sell that car. So think of those classic colors. I also really like these dark red tones. They have one out there right now that looks awesome. So good color schemes, keep it simple, keep it classic. That's going to be a really good move when you are speccing your car. Past that, now they just have the DB11 seats out, but there are different patterns and such that you can get on the DBX. Check out the customization tool online for some of those patterns. We'll even show in just a moment the comfort seats that you get and the sport seats to kind of give you a better idea of that. But you can spec anything from the seat design to the wheels and, the brake calipers. And the brake calipers, they give you a wide variety of options for not very much additional cost, but you get the standard black brake calipers on the base model, along with the black gloss trim. You can spec all these other trims. They're going to have their own price points based on which you pick, and you need to be at certain design levels. So Aston Martin has these different environments, they call them, and each environment has its own benefits. So the base environment is going to be typically the Create environment, and there you're going to get a one color tone interior with the black trim, and you get some seatbelt options with that, and you typically get black headline as well. But you can customize all of that. And our car out there is going to have a nice white ivory kind of color, leather here mixed with a blue and the duotone. Duotone in this case is adding about 10,000. So think about that. Know that that's, you know, obviously an extra cost, but when you're looking at the price point that you're looking at for, you know, 242,000 starting off, and our car's total price of 269, you know, you're really going to be thinking about more of the monthly payment element than the actual cost on there and how all of that adds up. So that's a really important thing to think about. Other colors, if you are planning on doing a duotone, think about either a nice contrast like this with that color. Don't go too crazy on there. And if you don't want to go the duotone, you can pick different stitching to give yourself a little bit of contrast in there. Obviously, I mean, it's if you're getting like a Vantage or something and you're going with a black interior and a red stitch, that always looks awesome. So great ideas to do it there. This our car has actually a blue stitch. Looks really nice, and you can see it on the head, the seats, and all around. Stands out really well. Past that, you know, again, with DBXs, think about very classic interior color schemes, because that's going to be more desirable when you sell that car. And, you know, obviously when you're looking at it every day, that's really important as well. I'm a huge fan of chocolatey colored tones. I think these look really nice in cars. Not being too bright, but still giving yourself a little bit different than black. Like we have a car that's a coffee colored interior, and I just really, really like that, especially if it's the monotone color. That looks really good. All right, guys, so in addition to the other spec wall, we of course have even more colors. We got a lot of the tones here and the blues and just some greens at the bottom there. But this DBX right here is, I think, a really good example of a very well-spec'd DBX. And this is in a satin satin xenon gray color that you can spec for additional costs as well. The satin finish adds about $15,000 to the base price. So keep that in mind, but they did a really good job in this interior, keeping the majority of it black with white accents. Kind of a fun way to make it be a little bit more aggressive to the kind of just all black color there. Of course, they did a carbon fiber interior, which is going to keep it on the sporty side versus the classic side. So if you want a sporty car, definitely, you know, obviously carbon fiber is big thing. But as we can see on the sticker here, that back carbon fiber adds about $8,200 to that price. So if that is worth it to you, then you can absolutely spec that out. Alright guys, so this is the DBX in the white. This is definitely how I would spec my car. This one is a little bit over the base price of $242,000 at $262,000, but with that, we'll check out a lot of the interior from there is the cause of that. So we get the comfort seats in there, finished in mostly white, but they have the duotone color scheme, and so that adds a little bit to the price point of course. So, you know, this is, I think, just amazing spec. We checked out some other specs earlier, but there's also a red spec that I can see from here that, you know, I didn't even consider when we were in there, and that looks amazing. It's a nice wine color that looks really, really good. And yeah, this has the diamond turned wheels on there that add about $6,000 to the price. And then, of course, the interior spec we'll talk about in just a second. So let's check out the interior and talk about what they have done for this car that gets it to the $262,000 price tag. All right, guys, we're in the 2024 DBX here interior, and you can see this is the duotone interior. They have this nice ivory white color and a darker gray tone with blue stitching. It looks actually pretty good. It's one of those little hints that you wouldn't really notice, so I don't think that will really affect any sort of resaleability of the car. But gloss black interior. The duotone adds a little bit more to the price point, about $10,000, and then you get some of the leather quilting here as an optional behind me on the seats that are about another $2,000 or so. And so, you know, the combination of all of this, bringing this to $262,000. And I think this is really, really nice, very spacious. They hug you well, and I don't think that they don't feel too comfy, too sporty. They're kind of in that middle. So feeling these, sitting in these, I would personally definitely go with the comfort seats. But if you're wanting your DBX to be a little bit sportier, of course, the sport seats are sweet looking. So yeah, with that in mind, I've got it turned on. We'll give it a little bit of revs, and let's talk about finances of the car, base price versus this price. Okay guys, so as you're figuring out what to do to pay for your DBX, there's a few things that you can consider. Of course, you can pay cash, or you can finance it, or you can lease it. And if you pay cash, there's definitely some things that you should consider first. One is having enough cash on hand when you do that, and that you have a good chunk of money in your portfolio to do that. I would highly encourage, if you're going to pay cash for any sort of vehicle, being that vehicles typically depreciate, I would keep that to under 10%, at 10 at the max of your investment portfolio. So if you're looking at buying the base price car of $242,000, you want to have $2.4 million in your investments overall. To get back from a loss of 10% is you have to have a higher return than 10% to get back to that same point. So that becomes harder and harder the more you pull money away from yourself and your investments there. So you may not want to do that. And in fact, there's obviously, and you have interest that you pay when you buy or pay for a car via loan, but I want to show you an example of spending that money on the car or doing a loan on the vehicle, financing that and investing and keeping your money invested. If we start with a $242,000 car or dollar amount and we let that grow and that investment earns 7%, which is the same, if we assume your loan is 7%, if you have a investment growing percent, that growth of investment is going to be about $144,000, right around there. And over the same period of time, if you were financing it, you have an additional interest that you pay in addition to your depreciation. So it sounds like it's adding cost to the vehicle. And in fact, that amount of interest adds up to a little over $60,000. But the fact that you kept that money on hand, the fact that you grew that investment at that that investment compounded over a period of time, and it gave you actually an end number of $81,000 in difference. So you, in this case, were better off. You were $80,000 positive on the same purchase just by financing the purchase versus paying cash. So definitely something to consider. And if that is, an $80,000 that you want, and in addition, that $140,000 is important to you, then that is definitely a way that I would really consider buying your vehicle, as it's going to give you additional wealth over that period of time. So if you're thinking, okay, that's a great point, I might want to finance my vehicle. Well, think about as well, when you're financing your vehicle, what are your opportunity costs with that? Also, don't put yourself in a bad financial situation. Certainly, you want to make sure that your bills, including taxes, are under 50% of your income. That's a super good ratio that I found. People are a lot more free when they have less than 50% of their income being taken up by all their bills. And if you got a mortgage, you got other loans out there, keeping auto loan payments around 10% of your income is also a good measure. But many banks will lend up to 36% of your income toward a loan. So, if you are trying to buy the price vehicle, a loan payment on that, if you were taking a loan payment and doing that interest of 7% over 7 years on $242,000, well, that's right around $3,600 a month. So good thing to have is income of about $360,000 to support that. But if your other debts out there and aren't taking up that much of your total income, well, banks will lend you typically up to 36%. So maybe your income needs to be $135,000, at least on paper, right? We all know that. You got businesses going on and cash flow from various sources. You can probably get away with various different income structures, but that is something to consider. So another way to finance the vehicle is by a lease. And a lease is what you're going to do there is you're going to be paying for the depreciation on a vehicle over a period of time. Right now that Aston Martin DBX has a lease for around $2,200 a month. So if you're trying to keep that again at 10% of your income, you're only going to need a $220,000 income. Feel pretty good about that monthly payment. Now, of course, don't forget about taxes. Don't forget about additional purchasing costs such as document fees, registration fees, dealer markups, things like that. Those are all going to play a piece into it. So definitely talk to the financing group and get all your details before buying the vehicle. I also just have a link below this video to give you an idea of the registration fees and taxes you might pay per state. There's little calculators. One of my favorite websites is calculator.net. So they've got some great calculators on there that you can use as well. All right, guys, thanks for checking out Cars and Cash, where we've spec'd out this DBX today and talked about the good part, the financing, what you need to think about. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please click subscribe. Check us out. Check out Carlock Motors. If you want this specific car, it is for sale. So I'll link below Carlock Motors along with myself. If you're trying to figure out how you can afford your dream car, check out my site. Click below. Let's hit some time. Be happy to talk through that with you and make sure that you are maximizing the money that you've already saved or trying to help you save to get to your dream car, whatever that is. And keep in mind, like I mentioned in the previous video, link below, anything to do with thinking about what your local state and state taxes are along with registrations for cars, so you can get a better idea. But CarLock can help you spec out your car, so definitely check them out as well. And we'll see you at the next one. I'm gonna take this thing for a drive.